The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. The Canadians and the British are really polite people, and this is their polite way of saying that they're sending a bunch of roughnecks in to kill a lot of people. The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. It's a cool name, and it was actually a pretty good movie. It's based on real events. So they say that a couple of times in the beginning and at the end of the movie, they let you know it was based on real events. In fact, Henry Cavill's character Gus may be the actual influence for 007, James Bond, because Ian Fleming is a part of everything that's going on here, and later he writes the James Bond books. And people who know say that he may have based it on his actual character. England is getting the brakes beat off of them by Germany, and Germany gives them basically an ultimatum: you guys give up, fall under the blanket of Germany, or we will wipe you from the map. There'll be no more England. Your allies are not stronger than our allies, and you're at the cusp of being defeated. So Winston Churchill is the guy in charge. He's the man at the time, and he okays a secret mission to cripple the Germans in the hopes that it will pull the Americans into the war. They get Henry Cavill's character out of jail, tells him, pick any team you want, complete the mission we set before you. He's like, okay. But what's funny to me, there's a scene in the beginning that takes me back to Trading Places with Eddie Murphy. In Trading Places, they're trying to convince Eddie Murphy that they're giving him this great opportunity. While they're doing that, he's stealing stuff. Oh, look over there. You know what I like? You know what I like most about this place? The curtains. Look at the curtains. And when they look, he's sticking stuff in his pocket. Henry Cavill's character is talking to them, and he's listening, but he's not 100% convinced. So while he's talking, he's like stealing cigars and doing stuff, and I was just waiting for him to say, you know what I really like about this place? The curtains. Look over there at my curtains. But that part just brought me to Eddie Murphy. Henry Cavill in most of his movies is the big guy. He's the big, muscular, I should probably take my shirt off or get ready to fight in a bathroom type guy. They wanted him to act, and they wanted people to look at this and say, he did a great job acting. So they had to detract from the fact that he's basically a giant. And they put Alan Ritchson in there, Hawk from Titans, or Reacher from the TV show Reacher, the big dude. I know he's a big guy. You see him on TV, you know he's a big guy. You look at Terry Crews, big guy. You look at Chris Hemsworth, big guy. You look at Henry Cavill, big guy. But you don't normally get a bunch of those big guys together standing right next to each other. You know, Superman don't stand next to Thor, so you never really see it. But when Alan was standing next to Henry, you could tell he was a bigger dude. He's a lot bigger than him. And Henry Cavill didn't have to be the big guy in the movie now. So he could act, and people could look at him and say, well, at least that's how it worked for me. I looked and I was like, oh yeah, right, he's an actor. And he wasn't picking people up over his head and throwing them through walls or whatever. But Alan was. They wanted to emphasize, hey man, this is the big dude in this movie. So it was good. It worked well. They had a plan, and it was a war movie, and it was an espionage movie, and it was one of those movies where, you know, they've got a plan, and you're waiting for the dun 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 dun. You're waiting for the dramatic music to kick in, and they're following this plan. This is one of those, we're going to take a bunch of people who don't appear to have a great deal in common. You know, this guy is a specialist. He's a munitions guy. This guy is a driver. You know, he can drive anything fast. You know, this is a spy. This one over here is a master of disguise. This one over here is a martial arts expert. You know, you get these people, this hodgepodge of specialists. You put them together. In this particular case, they actually were legitimately friendly with one another. They knew one another. Almost all of them knew one another. And they get sent in to do this job. Now, it's based on a true story. So you know that Germany doesn't own England. People in England aren't eating sauerkraut, you know, so you know that the mission had to have succeeded. Because, you know, I mean, if you have any idea about history, you know America got in on that. America got a little piece of that action. So they were in on that war. So you know what's going to happen in the end. And this one is one of those movies where it's not the destination, it's the journey. It's showing you everything that happened in that movie. It's pretty much a down-to-earth movie. Nobody's jumping across buildings, you know, from one building to another. Which I've never understood people watching and seeing that. You can't jump from one building to the other. Because think about it, that building is on this block, the other building's on that block. Could you jump from this block if you were on the street from that block to this block? Of course you couldn't. But it's the movies and, you know, they do stuff like that. But they did not in this movie. They kept it pretty grounded. And it was actually a solid story. It was a solid movie. A lot of action. I was expecting more until I realized it was a true story. And I was like, oh, yeah, they're not going to be like, you know, duck down and the tank will flip over. There's not going to be anything like that. It's just going to be actual legit stuff. And it was a pretty good movie, pretty well acted. It's a Guy Ritchie movie, so there was action. Guy Ritchie is going to stick action in a dude cutting his lawn. There's going to be something's going to blow up. So this movie was good. It was a good movie. It was well acted. It was well paced. There were no real big, slow spots in the movie. You know, there was something going on at all times, even if it was witty conversation. I dug the movie. In fact, I dug the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare so much that I would give that Henry Cavill Can Act movie 7 bags of popcorn. 7 bags of popcorn. Because that's what I think about that. More importantly, what do you think about that? Now that we had a chance to look at the video, let's talk about it some more in the comments. And as always, if you like the video, if you like the content, subscribe. And then like.
Popcorn passport. Get your popcorn passport.